everybody. Good morning. Sorry, just having a little fun here. I'm in a mood today. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on when you're catching this. Hope you guys are doing well. This is Michelle with Treecat, and I just wanted to hop on today just for a short while, just to kind of talk about some things I've been thinking about. I don't know if you've been thinking about them, but I've been thinking about them. And one of the things that I've been thinking of a lot lately is whether or not, as an online seller, I am a gig worker or a small business owner. And it's made me kind of become a little stoic, a little philosophical. And I wanted to kind of work through those things with you today. I don't know if you're feeling the same way as me. But the other thing is, we don't have any huge announcements, but what we do have is something that we're working on in the background. Maybe I'll actually start off with that. Yeah, there we go. So in Treecat, right, the inventory page, when you get to your inventory page, and you want to do some cross listing, we are working on in the background something called fast list, and it is it's going to simplify your workflow when you're doing your cross listing. It has an autofill feature powered by AI. And so you might notice right now, we're kind of slowly, it's probably going to be ready for a demo next weekend, next Saturday. But right now we haven't implemented it. It's in alpha. It'll be in beta next weekend and we'll be able to do a demo. But down here, I don't know if you can see on the very bottom of your screen, when you're in a listing and you're ready to cross list it, this button right here, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the sixth button to your right, it's a blue button and it's called autofill. That used to be called copy. So if you're seeing that as you do your cross listing and you're like, what happened to the copy button? It's just temporarily, it's called autofill because it's going to have an optional opportunity to have AI populate all of your descriptions and all of the categories and things like that. And it's optional. You don't have to use it if you're not into having AI auto-populate and autofill for you. Don't worry about it. But if you are interested in checking it out and trying it, it's going to be in beta starting in next weekend. So the autofill does basically the same thing as the copy button for now, but that will be changing. So when you want to copy it from eBay to Mercari and Poshmark, and you'll click autofill, and that'll, if you've selected to try this out, to use the AI experience, you'll click autofill, and it'll be something different that you're not used to, right? If you're used to doing it kind of manually going in and typing in the categories and typing in your description and things like that. So it's going to be a little bit different, and we're going to hope to get your feedback if you're a Treecat user next week. So that's just something that we're working on. Other than that, no like big sort of, things to talk about. Other than that's what we're busy behind the scenes working out. So, all right, let's go back to sort of the philosophy hour with Michelle. I wanted to pose the question, are we as online sellers simply gig workers, or are we actually business owners? I've always thought of myself as a business owner. And so I did a little deep dive, and wanted to like really understand, well, what is a gig worker? What is a gig worker? So according to, this is actually according to, I think, the IRS, the definition of a gig worker is people that perform short-term flexible jobs that are facilitated by digital platforms. So is my online selling a short-term? It's not. I've been doing it for the last almost 7 years. Is it flexible? Yeah, it is flexible. That's why I do it. And is it facilitated by digital platforms? It is. But am I classified as an independent contractor? I have an LLC, so that makes me think that I have my own business and I'm not necessarily a contractor. So the characteristics of gig work, they have control over their work hours. I do. But their tasks often lack job security and benefits. That's true. Can be highly variable, right? But those are all true. Now, I also consider myself a small business owner. And so what's the definition of a small business owner according to the IRS? Small business owners run their own businesses. They're aiming for profit and growth. That's true. I am aiming for profit. I run my own business, and I also want to scale my business and grow my business. So I may have more, the small business owners, it says, may have more control over their operations and strategic decisions. So I guess I do have control over my operations and my strategic decisions, essentially. So that would mean that I'm also a small business owner. Characteristics: they often invest more time and resources into their businesses, including marketing, inventory management, and customer service. They may hire employees or contractors. I have done that in the past. And I certainly have started to invest more time into inventory management, because Treecat is basically how I am managing my inventory. I used to use eBay as my inventory management system, and that became problematic when eBay would suddenly lose listings and do weird things to my photos, and so I stopped that. I wanted to take more control over that, and that's why, one of the reasons why we started Treecat was to have more control, right, over my business. Marketing, honestly, because I'm right now only on eBay, Poshmark, and Mercari, most of the marketing is actually, and sort of my brand is actually hosted by the platforms. I kind of pay them to promote me, or I pay them, I include that portion of the payment that I make to these platforms as part of the marketing costs. I don't do a lot of marketing on my own for these businesses, or for these shops that I have, these online shops. So partially true. So that's something to think about. Interesting, right? Interesting how both can be true. So yeah, like I said, I'm on eBay, Poshmark, and Mercari. Maybe you are too. And let's delve a little bit deeper into, like they can fall into either of these categories. Gig workers, if they treat selling as a side hustle or a part-time job, and rely heavily on the platform's infrastructure and don't invest significantly in business growth, then yeah, you might be considered a gig worker or a side hustler, right? But if you're a small business owner, maybe you approach selling with more of a business mindset, and you put more thought and research into investing into inventory, marketing, customer service. You have long-term growth aspirations, and you're trying to see how you can scale your business, right? And that's why you use programs like Treecat to help you scale your business. So that would be more akin to small business owners. So I still feel like I fit kind of in between both categories. It's interesting. Is there anything wrong? Well, sometimes being a gig worker, income instability, that would resonate with me, because, it can be dependent on, the economy. It can be dependent on the platform changes. Yeah, it says here, earnings can be unpredictable and subject to platform changes. That's very true. That is very true. Lack of benefits, right? Gig workers do not receive any kind of insurance, retirement plan, or that's right, obvious. That's totally obvious. But that could be also, a small business owner as well, to be honest with you. Both of these could be true for small business workers. Psychological effects of realizing I might be a gig worker. Well, some people might appreciate the flexibility and autonomy that comes with gig work. Others might feel a lack of stability and insecurity can lead to stress. Realization also might impact one's self-identity and self-accomplishment, which leads me to an interesting story time. So a couple of years ago, I was gifted a trip to a very fancy spa by my mom. Hey, Nancy, if you're watching, shout out, Fancy Nancy. She's fancy. She wanted to take me to this really cool health spa that she really enjoys going to, and she was like, "Hey, it's your birthday." I don't want to say which birthday. It was a big one. And she took me to this really cool fancy spa down in Mexico, and like in Tecate, a really nice part of, beautiful area of Mexico. And it was all super well-off people. And it was really interesting because in the evenings, you'd sit down for dinner with the other spa goers, and you get into conversations with them. And anytime I told them, "Oh, I have a small business, I do e-commerce," it was like, "Oh, and like they just wanted to get out there as soon as possible. They did not have much respect for me as an online reseller for whatever reason. And I had no idea that it was perceived in such a way that sort of the top 1% were just kind of like snubbing their noses at, the common e-commerce seller. But apparently there was one lady that did want to talk with me, but she was also, she was like a CFO for some company in Canada that was like a furniture manufacturer, but then they started getting into like the form factor to make it shippable or something like that. So she was actually really interested in talking with me, but she was the only one. All these other people, like the attorneys that I met and like other, C-suite types, were just kind of like, okay, nice chatting with you, bye-bye. And I was like, oh my gosh. So that was like the first psychological factor when I realized, oh, like this is not seen as a real job maybe, or maybe people, I don't know, they just didn't seem to like, it didn't seem to resonate with them. And so sometimes, yeah, you can feel kind of like, if you tie your sense of like self-worth to your job, which honestly I used to do years and years and years ago when I had really, awesome career and did this and that, I did sort of tie my self-worth with my job. And so I think if you're doing this kind of work, you have to let that go. You totally have to let that go, right? That was just a kind of a funny story though, like about when the light bulb went on and I was like, oh, this is not seen as like like legitimate or whatever, but it is. And I think that it can be, right? And it just depends on what your goals are and what you want to do. A little bit more information here, sort of about the blurred lines, right, between being an online seller or a gig worker. I mean, here's some arguments against it, right? Because I don't see myself as working on a project by project basis with my online selling. So that's a no. Lacks significant control. Now I feel that I would say that's a no for me, because I use Treecat. And it actually kind of helps me a little bit with the feeling of I have more control over my business. I have my inventory management. I have ways to hack the algorithms. And I'm making business decisions based on like the analytics, and it just enables me to have a little bit more control and feel like I'm making these decisions on my own behalf based on data, based on actual data, and that I have some control over, like little algorithm hacks here and there, so that I'm not always just reliant on these features that the platforms bring me, like promoting, like paying them to promote. There's other ways that we can get impressions. And so I'm going to say a no for that one. Often relies on platform for job opportunities. No, I don't rely on the platforms for job opportunities necessarily. Receives income directly. That's a yes. We do receive income directly from the platform. Small business owner owns and operates a business. Yes. Has control over operations, pricing, marketing. Ultimately, yes, I do. Assumes risk and reaps rewards. Yes. Often has legal. Yes. So, I mean, I'm kind of erring on the side of maybe I am more of a small business owner, right? Yeah. So I guess the bottom line is online sellers often have characteristics of both. So, yeah. I mean, I think that the bottom line is you want to have the psychological effects is, you want to reduce the stress and the feeling of that you don't have control, and you want to be more motivated, right? And I think that your chances of doing these things will increase when you start taking your inventory management and taking, your business into a platform like Treecat, where you've got a little bit more control over your inventory. You've got a backup of your inventory, and so in case your items get lost, you can download a CSV and you can re-import or whatever you need to do. You've got, you're not keeping all your eggs in one basket. You're diversifying. We've got like the, sort of like sales analytics, and that helps you make decisions because you know what your numbers are in a quick glance for all your platforms. And then we do these algorithm hacks, right? We study the algorithms and we start to make decisions based on what we know about the algorithms. Now, we know that eBay prioritizes conversion, right? So we can pay eBay to get impressions, but if we don't convert all those impressions, that's a problem. They start really kind of penalizing you. eBay is definitely one of the platforms that will penalize you for low conversion rate. So even though, with Treecat, we have some features like the delist relist feature, in which you can go to your inventory tab and you can do like bulk. Let's see, I've been kind of going through my I'm still working on my July delist relists. I've been working on this for weeks. And so I go and I find all the items that are, need to be refreshed, that were initially refreshed, in July. And what I've been doing is I've just been doing, selecting these and, especially the ones that are in season. And some of them I don't even, I've made the decision not to cross list on all of my platforms because I just, these underwear are problematic on Mercari for some reason. They're always flagging them as being used underwear, and they're not, they're new. So I've just decided, I'm just gonna leave those off of Mercari. But with the delist relist, you really do have some control here to kind of hack the algorithm, because you're getting your items refreshed, and you can do it on a different, on all different types of basis. Let me go to main actions, and I can tell it I want to delist relist, and I can just do it one time if I want, or I can schedule it, so that every let's say 60, I think I was doing 55, 6, 7, 8, 9, and I'm trying to sort of stagger it and have these relisted and delisted and relisted, so that I don't have to do it, in the future. I can just set it, and then it'll relist it if it's been more than 55 days since the last time it was delist relisted, and then it'll do it again in another 55 days. And so that's just an automation that I use to get my items ranking higher in search. And that's just one of the algorithm hacks that helps you be a little bit more in control, because you're refreshing your items, you're getting them to the top of search. And I don't like to do what's called nuclear reset. And now I feel like we have the receipts as to why that's not a good idea. One of the reasons why that's not the best idea is because you are inundating the algorithm. You're saying, oh, I have all these, listings getting refreshed, but what if you don't convert all those, higher search ranked items? You're going to get penalized. So my take on that is I like to do something called drip, and that's the drip method. So it's delist, relist, intermittent protocol. And that just means that every day I'm scheduling things to be delist, relisted, and then scheduling them to happen over and over again. So I've got just items just, dripping every day, just consistently dripping items in every day, rather than big pushes, these big, shocks to the system where you don't convert and then you get penalized. And I think all of us have seen that this is what's been happening when people do these huge, full store resets. They get an initial hit from all the impressions, but then when they don't convert, eBay penalizes them for that. So let's just do the drip method and keep it going. We're continuing our momentum, and we're not, doing things that will end up penalizing us, because the conversion rate could be exactly the same if you're doing 30 delist relists as opposed to, a lot more, right? And I don't know. I just feel like that's the way to go, is just to build consistent momentum and to just constantly drip every day, right? Drip, feed the beast just a little bit every day. And I feel like that's the better path to consistent sales. That's my opinion. And I know that the other two platforms have slightly different algorithms. And so they may not be penalized. I don't think Poshmark and Mercari are penalizing you for a lower conversion rate. So what I do is I actually delist, relist all of them at the same time, but you can have a different strategy. You can say, I'm going to do, my eBay items are going to get delist, relisted every 55 days, but my Poshmark or Mercari items, I'm going to do those sporadically as needed on an as needed basis. Or you can, whatever strategy you want. But the cool thing is because the items have either been cross-listed or matched, they stay together as a triad. And so even though you may be delist, relisting, items, they still match together, and you never have to rematch them or recross list them because they're still recognized as a triad. So that's really cool. And it saves you a lot of time because they're never gonna, you're never gonna need, nothing's gonna get screwed up as a result of, delist, relisting on one platform, but deciding to have a different strategy for the other platforms. So that's something that's really cool that I wanted to just, make sure you guys knew about. The other cool algorithm hack that I have been absolutely loving is our Poshmark sharing. And I love it because it's a way for me to get a lot more impressions. And then I close the deal by making offers to these likers, right? So like, if you don't know, it's the Poshmark sharing. You have to go to the settings menu, and then you go to the bottom of the left-hand menu, and it's called Poshmark sharing. You click on it. You click both of the quick schedule all day follower share, as well as the quick schedule nightly party share. Click on both of those, and then you activate them by pressing the little play button. Right now, they're both activated, and you only have to do this once. It'll be continually forever. It'll go continually forever. It'll share during the daytime from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. It's going to share to your followers, and at night, it's going to share at the nightly party. And that's the everything party. So that's not necessarily to just your followers. It's like to everyone in the party. So that's from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. And these are all based on Pacific time. So I'm getting a lot more visibility. I'm getting a lot more impressions because of this. I'm super happy about it. It's helping me make more sales because I go in and I make those offers. You can make offers manually, and that's what I've been doing, but we will have a version 2 that will have that part automated. So I'm really looking forward to that. That's going to be really cool. But we kind of put that on the back burner for now, just because we're trying to get out our new list, fast list going, because we feel like that's going to be really saving you a lot of time. It'll simplify your workflow, and it'll just make your cross listing a lot faster. So we felt that was maybe just a little bit more high priority. We have to always prioritize things because we're a small company, and we have limited resources, but we do our best. So anyways, that's just what I wanted to jump on and talk about today. If you have, if you want to prove me wrong or about the gig work versus small business owners, leave a comment. Please please subscribe. Could use a little bit of help in that area. My social proof. I'm not the best social marketing person, but I'm trying, and we're learning. So anyways, I hope you guys have an amazing, amazing weekend, and I hope your sales are good. And if you need to reach out to us for any reason, you can do so. We have the little question mark on the right-hand side of Treecat. You can go on our Reddit forum. We have contact at treecat.io, support at treecat.io. Lots of ways to contact us. So anyways, thanks for viewing, and we'll talk to you next time. Mahalo.